The following program is paid for by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Absolute Mortgage Company, NMLS number 81395 and Washington CL number 81395 is an equal opportunity housing lender. Tina Mitchell, MLO number 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Absolute Mortgage. Visit AbsoluteLoans.com or call 888-90-HOMES for cost information. You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell. Sponsored by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome to the Money Hour at 11:50 a.m. KKNW, the Saturday, October 18th show. I'm your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. Thank you for taking time to talk money. I'm here to help you build a strong financial blueprint 1 week and one show at a time. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast, but I'm here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that I have in studio today. Please call into the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And my lineup for studio today, Tyler Freed with Windermere Real Estate Lake Taps, a great resource on everything real estate, here to discuss what's happening in today's real estate market and how consumers are reacting to the current environment. Also in studio, I have Dan Edwards with Eastside Real Estate Team, is one of my trusted sources for our local real estate market advice for buyers and sellers. Here to discuss selling in the fourth quarter and again, everything on real estate with Dan. And last in studio, I have Aaron Murphy with ADM Architecture, empowering the mature mind. There are many benefits to aging in place. Maintain your independence, stay healthier, and keep your routines and minimize your costs. So excited to have Aaron and his wealth of information in that arena in studio. Again, great information and great guest in studio today. For more information on any topics discussed, please call into the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or on the moneyhour.com. And let's start out the show today with a little money chat. Any first-time homebuyers listening to the show today, I want to talk about a tax credit available. Mortgage Credit Certificate, or the MCC, specifically is for first-time homebuyers. The definition through the Washington State Housing Finance Commission, which offers this tax credit, first-time homebuyer means that you have not owner-occupied a property in the last 3 years. So if you currently own a property, maybe it's another state, and you actually relocated here to Seattle and you haven't bought yet and you've been renting for 3 years, you are considered a first-time home buyer, even though you currently have another home. Again, you haven't owner occupied a property in the last 3 years, you're considered a first-time home buyer. Or maybe you were affected by the mortgage meltdown and financial crisis that we had, and you haven't got back into home ownership yet. If it's been 3 years, you're considered a first-time home buyer. This is a tax credit, not a deduction. The difference between a tax credit and a deduction is a percentage of a certain dollar amount. A tax credit is a dollar for dollar. So dollar for dollar, 20% of all of the interest you pay on your mortgage is a tax credit. So you get it back. It's really simple math. On a $300,000 loan amount at a 4% interest rate, not quoting interest rates today, hypothetical example only. Obviously, it depends on what the market's doing and based on qualifying factors. But if you had a $300,000 loan amount at a 4% interest rate, 20% of your interest would be $12,000. 20% of that would be $2,400. So if you divide that by 12 months, that's a $200 a month tax credit. So that's pretty substantial. If you want to know what $200 is going to do for you in buying power, because really that's where the key to saving on a payment really is how is that going to increase your buying power? It's going to increase your buying power, give or take $30,000 to $40,000, depending on what interest rates are doing, what property taxes and insurance would be on the home. But if I could tell you a way that you could purchase another $30,000 to $40,000 in a home and keep your payment exactly the same, that would be a real benefit to you. Now, this is a government-backed program, which means that you're actually going to receive a certificate that you include in your tax returns every year that says that you qualify for this special 20% tax credit. Now, if you don't amend your W-4 with your employer, you're going to see that benefit at the end of the year. So if you had $2,400 in interest that you're getting a dollar for dollar credit back, it means that you're going to pay $2,400 less in income taxes. But the idea is to be able to see this money in your paycheck every single month. We're talking about an additional $200 a month in this example that I'm giving you. So consult with a licensed CPA. I'm not, so I can't tell you how to amend your W-4. But if maybe you're claiming 0 now and you need to be claiming 2. Maybe you're claiming 2 and you need to claim 3. Whatever that number is, so that you could net and take home in your paycheck an extra $200 a month in your payment. That way you're not waiting to the end of the year to receive that back. Now you're going to receive your standard deduction on the rest of the interest, so that other 80% interest that you pay, the deduction that you would get for being a homeowner, you're going to be able to get that. So you'll get your dollar for dollar on the 20%, and then you'll get the percentage of the other 80% for your deduction. Again, I would amend your W-4 to account for all of this, because I don't know about you, but me personally, I don't want the government collecting interest on my money. I want to maximize what I'm taking home on a monthly basis so that I can utilize that myself. Higher buying power, maybe invested in something that's going to give you some type of return. Lots you can do with that money. Now, this is not a loan program. It is a tax credit, which means it goes in conjunction with any loan program you want. So conventional financing, FHA financing, if you're a veteran, great financing for VA. You can, veterans out there in VA financing, you can use the tax credit with that. USDA, if you're purchasing in a rural area, you can use the tax credit with that. Adjustable rate mortgage, fixed rate mortgage, any mortgage that's available out there, you can use the tax credit. Also, you've heard me talk about grants for first-time home buyers. There actually is a grant available now where you don't have to be a first-time home buyer, money you don't have to pay back. Another topic for another money chat, but you can use the tax credit in conjunction with a zero down or a grant program as well. The fee associated for this, there's a $650 one-time upfront fee that's part of your closing costs, because there is a lot of processing and things that the Housing Commission does have to do. Housing Commission, a nonprofit organization, so they're not there to make money, but they do need to pay for the staff to process this, and it's a government-backed program, so guarantee there's a lot of paperwork that they're doing to accommodate to this. Now, if you have not heard of this program, you may be even in the industry as a real estate professional and have not heard about this program. A lot of people don't know about it, and here's why. Because number one, a mortgage consultant needs to be certified in order to offer the program. A lot of consultants can't get certified. If you're a broker, you don't have access to it at all. Maybe the company they work with do not support the MCC mortgage credit certificate tax credit. So a mortgage consultant in that situation is not going to be talking about something that they can't offer. Here's the other reason. It's a lot of work for your mortgage consultant or mortgage professional. So it's kind of like doing 2 loans and getting paid for one. So there's a reason maybe you don't hear about the tax credit, but I'm telling you here today, it's available. It's a huge savings, and there's no reason you don't want to utilize it unless you can't qualify for it. Now, if you decide to refinance your property, you can actually reissue the mortgage credit certificate, that tax credit again, with your new loan. No, if you're out there owning a home right now and you want to refinance, if you didn't originally take out the tax credit, you can't refinance and get it. You have to have taken it out at the time you purchased your home as a first-time home buyer. But if you utilize the tax credit now and you think we might see lower interest rates, I doubt that's going to happen. But if you were wondering and thinking it might, you can reissue the tax credit again with any refinance you do. You're just going to pay a one-time fee again with the new loan, $450 versus the $650 you paid for the first time. There are income restrictions to qualify for the program depending on the county that you're purchasing in. If you're purchasing in King or Snohomish County, a 1 to 2 person household, $90,000. So there's where you're not going to first, if you're not a first-time home buyer, or if you make more than the maximum income restriction is where the issue is going to come in qualifying. 3 or more, so if you have a child, a baby, counts as your third family member. That would be $97,000 instead of $90,000. Pierce, Thurston, and Kitsap County, 1 to 2, $80,000. 3 or more in your household, $90,000. Purchase price limitations are going to vary in county as well. If you're purchasing in King, $450,000 maximum purchase price, and if you're purchasing in Snohomish, Pierce County, maximum purchase price $370,000. It's eligible with any property type. If you're purchasing a single family, condo, townhouse, manufactured properties, it is available with those as well. And here's another benefit. It actually helps you qualify for more. If for some reason you're having any challenges with your debt to income ratio, which determines the maximum that you can approve for in a mortgage payment, that $200 a month I told you it would save for qualifying for the tax credit, that's going to get added over to your income. So then you're going to be able to qualify for a higher purchase price. Most likely it's going to give you qualification, maybe another $10,000. The reason it's not the same as your buying power is because you're just getting a percentage of that in the qualifying factor. Usually it's going to be a 45% of your debt to income ratio that you can utilize to qualify. So great program for those of you that are fall within the income restriction and first-time home buyers. Give the show a call, 1-855 400-1150. Again, it's 1-855-400-1150. Ask to talk to your host personally. I'm a mortgage expert. That's what I do for my full-time job, and I'd love to assist you in that arena if you need any help. And coming up next on the Money Hour, Tyler Freed with Windermere Real Estate Lake Taps, talking on real estate right here at 1150 a.m. KKNW after this short break.
Mortgage fraud has been rampant since 2007. Many folks don't know they have legal rights. Find out if your mortgage loan has wrongdoings and fraud. Magnum Law Group will do a free audit of your loan documents. Facing foreclosure? Need to stop a foreclosure sale? Magnum Law Group can help. We have experts with valuable knowledge, and we get results. Have you decided to short sale your property instead of a foreclosure? Magnum Law Group has the experience to negotiate better and faster for you.
Hi, this is Deborah with Magnum Law Group. Please contact us at 425-454-4300. You can visit our website at www.magnumlawgroup.com or call us at 425-454-4300.
This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, October 18th show. I bring into studio each week the best of the best experts in our local market on everything here, everything money. I'm here to help you in today's economy. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast, but you can always call into the show at 1-855 400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. In studio right now, I have Tyler Freed with Windermere Real Estate Lake Taps. Tyler, thanks for coming back into studio.
Thanks for having me, Tina. Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. Tyler Freed is a top producing Puget Sound real estate broker with Windermere Real Estate. He is recently showcased as a top Zillow agent in their 50 to 50 Agents Zillow Agent Spotlight. Tyler's been actively selling homes in the Windermere Real Estate since 2004, and he has attended Washington State University and graduate with a degree in business administration. He currently works with Windermere Relocation, helping major corporations relocate their employees in and out of the Puget Sound area. Tyler can be found on the front page of Zillow for agents in Bellevue, Seattle, and Tacoma, or you can just visit his website at tylerfreed.com. And Tyler, it's been a little while since I've had you in studio, so excited to hear the wealth of information that you have to share with my listeners. And I'd like to just start out with the real estate market. There's a lot of different opinions out there on what's happening in the real estate market. And I know specific on location and depending on where you're selling at, but what are you dealing with in your market?
Well, we're kind of seeing a little bit of a buyer's market the farther south we go. My office is down in the Bonnie Lake area.
Okay.
So my experience has been with listings right now, the ones that are sitting a little longer are the homes that are basically south of Kent.
Okay.
Unless you're still in that investor price range of under 300, those are flying off the shelves and get multiple offers just kind of across the board like everything else. But we're seeing a little bit of a slowdown, longer time on market in those areas.
Well, which is exciting for the buyers. You know, the market is always balanced, and I always talk about that life in itself is always balanced.
Right.
I mean, it's either going to be a buyer's market or seller's market. So for you buyers out there, if you're getting a little frustrated with the market and put yourself on the fence a little bit, it's time to get off because some of the things are changing in the dynamics in some areas. So that's great to hear, Tyler. Do you find it, and sellers, sorry, but it's still a great market to sell your house, but just not as many buyers coming. Tyler, do you find it tough to sell during the winter time? So right now in this market, how is it for sellers trying to sell their home?
It's still a really good time. my thoughts on real estate, it's always been supply and demand. It always will be supply and demand. So a lot of people really want to put their home on the market when all the flowers are blooming and the sun's shining. So they're always thinking, we'll just wait till spring. So if you don't have that competition, you're kind of the only show in town. So right now is a really good time to have your home on the market because there's not a lot of homes in the neighborhoods that's going to take away buyers from you. So now is a good time.
Yeah, and those buyers that are out there buying are probably, they're pretty encouraged or in need of buying because they might not be looking during that time unless they were, right?
Yeah, we see a lot more serious buyers. I always say August, and it held true this year. August always brings out the flaky buyers. But the people that are shopping when the weather's bad, they're serious buyers. And right now we're seeing a lot of stuff. We'll talk a little bit more, but with Windermere Relocation, we relocate a lot of people for Boeing right now. So we're getting a lot of people in and out of the state and a lot of buyers coming in. So we'll start seeing that push continue through the rest of the year.
That's awesome. So the demand, lots of a high demand then?
It is high demand. I mean, the foot traffic really dies down as you hit into the winter time, but those people going through the doors are a lot more serious. So I would take that over the flakes that we see in the August time.
Of course. And what about the amount of homes that are on the market towards the end of the year? What do you see in the comparison at now versus a different time?
Well, it's going to be a lot less homes that are on the market. The people that really need to sell are going to have their homes listed, and those people might be relocating for work or just needing to change their lifestyle around. So we usually see a drop, about this time now into the end of the year, and no one really likes to have their home on the market during the holidays because they might have guests coming into town or entertaining and everything. So those sellers are serious. Those are good people to
So lots
to
of
tour.
serious out there, which means there's not as much of the rat race and things that you talked about. And I think what a great time for sellers especially during the holidays, because it's all about warm and fuzzy feeling when you're buying a house. So make sure you take advantage of that and have the candle smelling, candles going. Make sure you've got your Christmas tree up and just deck out a little bit more. Don't do what maybe you're thinking of doing, wanting to sell, that you're stopping doing that because you're not emotionally attached to the home. Remember, the people that are coming in, you want them to be emotionally attached, right?
Yeah, a lot of people throughout the year are thinking, where's my Christmas tree going to go in this home? So definitely put it up and show it off. I like it.
Exactly. So what are some of the other advantages of buying in the winter?
Well, I think if you put your buyer hat on, like we mentioned, that the sellers are a little more serious and definitely need to move if they have their home on the market. So you have a little bit of more negotiation power, I've found, during that time. And then also on the lending end, your side there, Tina, is that there's not as many homes that are going to be under contract or loans that are going to be in underwriting. So that process is a lot smoother and a lot faster. So you can sweeten the deal on your offers with a quick close.
Totally true. Unless these rates, I mean, look what happened yesterday with the bond market. It was crazy. So the mortgage rates are based on how the bonds are trading. So when the bonds improve, the Fannie Mae 30-year bond improves, it's good for interest rates. And I came in, I was like, oh my God, what happened? But then in the middle of the day, we lost a lot of it and there was a midday price change for the worse. It was just crazy. Anyways, let's talk about foot traffic through homes during the winter time. What's that looking like?
It definitely slows down a bit. We talked about it earlier in the show. I'm hoping that we see an increase and a pickup in it for this winter because buyers were just getting so beat up, losing out on multiple offers for the whole year. So now they've still got the formula of good rates and a little bit lower prices and more serious sellers. So it's a good combination for them.
I totally agree, Tyler. So what is putting your crystal ball together for next year? What do you feel is going to happen next year with our real estate prices?
Well, we got to look at the demand like we talked about earlier. I think rates, a lot of the experts are projecting them to go up a point, and I think they have to. I'm pretty sure that'll end up happening. So, and in terms of the market, I think we're still going to see good appreciation. Nothing got too crazy. Seattle's going to stay hot. Eastside's going to stay hot. And even down where I'm at, down south, we're still seeing good single-digit appreciation.
So what about the area doing compared to the rest of the nation? So when you're looking at your market and what's happening, or overall Seattle market in comparison to, because I think we're pretty darn fortunate to be where we're at.
Yeah, Tina, we're very fortunate. We've got such good, big profile companies here hiring and hiring like crazy.
Yes.
That's bringing in these high paid tech employees, and they're spending a lot of money, and that's really driving up the prices on the east side in the Seattle area. So that's a big factor there.
Yeah, and if our weather keeps doing what it's doing, who would not want to live in Seattle?
We've had a lot of people relocating up from California, and they're like, why is everybody complaining about this weather? We've been pretty lucky this year.
I know. So why do people choose to live in Washington, and why are our prices so high in comparisons to other parts of the country?
Well, I think it's our economy is really good up in the state of Washington, especially on the west side with higher paying jobs. And I think values of homes, I mean, we're even seeing in like Puyallup and around the Lakeland area where there's really good schools. People are spending a lot more money to be there. So location, if you're close to work, no one wants to be stuck in a car all day. Yeah. That can drive up prices. And then schools are so important. Everyone wants their kids to get the best schooling. So that's factored all together, and that really drives up prices and kind of helps us outproduce the other states.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see as we get into 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, and I've had Sound Transit quite a bit in as a guest, and there's a lot of things that are happening in our transportation. So I think it's going to be a little bit easier for these commute times as we get a little bit smarter with how we do our transportation. So that'll be interesting. What about the buyers? If I have a buyer that's listening right now, Tyler, that's thinking of getting into the market right now, what is the best advice that you have for them?
Definitely get pre-approved. Step one,
okay.
we've talked about it many times, but just get out and tour, get a feel for it, see what you can get for your money. It's pretty amazing. Prices have really climbed. A lot of the lower end first-time buyers are kind of having a challenge in directing them sometimes towards townhouses because these single-family homes have increased so much. But just get out there and see what's out there, and be in a spot where you're close to employment and have good schools, and it's a winning combination. I
agree. And it is all about preparation and planning. Understand what you're willing to do. Make sure that you know what the bank is willing to lend you. Make sure you've got your options. Work with a good real estate professional that can really hold your hand and walk you through the process, and it can be a fun experience. And definitely don't sit back and not take advantage of this market if it's right for you. So, Tyler, I want to congratulate you. You've got a new show coming up on Discovery Channel, and can you talk to my listeners a little bit about that?
Well, it's still in the works. Pretty exciting. I got a call from the gal that produced the Sale of Two Cities on HGTV with me a couple years ago. And she just said, Tyler, we've got a new idea for a show, and I don't know how much I can say about it, but it's pretty cool. They're trying to make the show cater toward guys at home that are sitting on the couch and the bells and whistles of the home.
What, you guys do that?
Yeah. So it'll be fun to see. We're trying to get Seattle involved and try and get a floating home or get some homes on the water. We have such beautiful properties over here.
Wow.
So excited, and hopefully shoot that next month, and hopefully it gets picked up.
That would be awesome. Definitely have to keep me informed on that. So any other advice that you have for buyers or the sellers that are doing something, real estate transactions in this market?
I would just say, have an agent come over to your house, give you a price opinion. There's so much equity right now that people don't realize. And when the buyers get out there and start looking, they're going to, sit back and say, hey, well, my house is probably worth a little bit more than I thought it was. So have an expert come over, get a price opinion, and get out there and tour some houses. And, money's cheap right now to lend on, and there's some values out there, and you're going to be kicking yourself in a couple of years if you don't take advantage of it now.
I totally agree. So, Tyler, I know how awesome you are because that's why you were invited into studio. But tell my listeners something unique about your services as a realtor that makes you different than the masses out there.
I think for me, this year's been a lot of listings, which has been really fun because the marketing background is just kind of the nerd in me comes out. So we got a drone this year that flies about 2,000 feet in the air. And we're doing a lot of aerial shots, and sellers are loving that. You got to be careful where you're at when you're doing those.
Whole nother conversation, right?
A whole nother conversation. I think it's just all about that relationship and trust, and just walking them through and being a teacher, not a salesman, is kind of my philosophy there.
I totally agree. Tyler, thank you so much for coming back in studio. I know you're a busy guy, so I appreciate the time to sit face-to-face across from you.
Oh, thank you for having me again. Good to see you, Tina.
You too. And coming up next in the Money Hour, selling real estate in the fourth quarter, Dan Edwards with the Eastside Real Estate Team right here at 1150 AM KKNW after the short break.
Mortgage fraud has been rampant since 2007. Many folks don't know they have legal rights. Find out if your mortgage loan has wrongdoings and fraud. Magnum Law Group will do a free audit of your loan documents. Facing foreclosure? Need to stop a foreclosure sale? Magnum Law Group can help. We have experts with valuable knowledge, and we get results. Have you decided to short sale your property instead of a foreclosure? Magnum Law Group has the experience to negotiate better and faster for you.
Hi, this is Deborah with Magnum Law Group. Please contact us at 425-454-4300. You can visit our website at www.magnumlawgroup.com or call us at 425-454-4300.
This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, October 18th show. Each week, I share expert advice and inside knowledge on how today's events in our local economy can affect your money. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast, to talk with myself or any of the awesome guests that I have in studio today, pick up the phone and call into the show at 1-855 400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And in studio now, Dan Edwards with the Eastside Real Estate Team, coming in to visit me in studio for the first time. Dan, thank you so much.
Thanks, Tina, for having me. It's great to be here.
Excited to talk real estate with you. You're actually my neighbor almost in where your company is versus mine. And again, it's just exciting to have you here. Thank you.
Yeah, downtown Bellevue's doing great right now.
We are doing awesome. And Dan entered real estate in March of 2006. His background in sales, business, and technology enabled him to be a more efficient real estate professional. He loves real estate and people, and it was only natural that he would enjoy putting the two of them together. His vision is to ensure the process to buying, selling, or investing in real estate is a positive one. He believes in leveraging the power of strengths. The Eastside Real Estate Team's mission is to be professional, quality team with vision to build and strengthen their community by guiding their clients through the process of buying and selling or investing in real estate on the East Side. So Dan, let's talk a little bit about what's happening in real estate. But before we get there, let's talk about you. How long have you been in the real estate industry? I know since 2006, but talk a little bit about your experience.
Well, you're a numbers girl, so you can do the math. Then that's 8 years. I'm working on my 9th year.
Awesome.
And it's 9 years of interesting stuff if you kind of think back over what we've seen. So yeah, it's been great. We've seen the ups, we've seen the downs, and the ups again.
Exactly. It's fun how it just kind of does that up and down, up and down. Lots of experience that we have for sure. So what about your story in the business and real estate, Dan?
Well, why I love being in real estate really comes down to the interaction between families looking for a place to live. Mm-hmm. One great way to explain that is through stories. And you know, I had a couple who they basically spent 30 years in a property in Sammamish, and they looked at what they could do to divide that property up. Got it ready to go. We got that property sold to a developer, and they were able to pay off their home and actually buy their dream home in Camano Island. So those kinds of stories are really why I like being in real estate.
And I like how you mentioned that, because it is about stories. And I think too much in our industry, we don't take time to share those. And it's an emotional thing. It's the biggest purchase that a buyer is going to make, or a seller, the biggest sell that they're going to have. And so it is so important to share those stories. What is your areas that your team covers, Dan?
So the Eastside Real Estate Team works as far north as Mill Creek, as far south as Kent. If you go over to the east side, it's probably like North Bend. And but we really, really like to focus on the east side, and that's Kirkland, Redmond, Issaquah, Sammamish, and Bellevue.
So we know real estate is definitely location, 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 and every location is different as far as what's happening in the market. Right, just in the east side, what are you seeing happening right now, Dan?
Yeah, it's been an interesting last 2 years. I track the numbers all the time. I look at what the median home price is doing. And it's funny, it can be very different from Bothell than it is from downtown Bellevue. Yep. So you really have to pay attention when you're consulting with a seller on how to target their, position their property for success. So one of the things we look at is months of inventory. And that's an indicator of whether or not we're in a buyer's or a seller's market. So if you look at the Bellevue report for September in 2014, for downtown Bellevue, they're at 3 months of inventory. So what that means is if no new home were to go on the market, in 3 months, they'd be out of inventory. So a balanced market's 5 months. So we're still in a pretty strong seller's market in Bellevue.
Okay.
But if you go out to Bothell, there's a little bit more competition, And I'll talk a little bit more about that later because we've got a lot of builders out there putting a lot of new inventory on the market.
Yeah. So what about the fourth quarter and home sales? What do you see?
You know, Tyler stole a little bit of my thunder, kind of talking about how things are going with regards to the fourth quarter. And kind of the heading of my talk today was, selling in the fourth quarter. And it's much like I'll use a football analogy. Some people may be paying attention to football this time of year. That's one of the things I love about the fall. But the fourth quarter can be a win for a lot of people because of some of the things that Tyler already spoke about. There's fewer buyers out there, so the sellers can optimize. They have serious buyers, ones that are looking to do it. We know that traffic slows down around the winter time, and by definition, that we look at the numbers, and from December, January, and February, that's when the traffic slows down. So there's still time right now. Buyers that are looking for a place to spend for the holidays are looking to buy in the next 45 days. Yeah,
makes total sense. So Dan, many say that spring is the best time to sell. So why not wait till spring?
Yeah, and that comes to the competition aspect.
Yep.
As a lot of people are thinking, okay, at the end of the school year, we're going to sell our house. You as a seller now are competing with a lot more buyers than you would be if you were selling right now.
So what can you do to get your home ready to sell in time for the year?
All right, so this time of year, it's a little different. And actually, I think it's a good opportunity for buyers to see what it's like to live in the Northwest this time of year.
Yep.
So as a seller, you really need to take some time on the outside of your house to make sure that the leaves are raked up, to make sure that the gutters are cleared out, to make sure that the windows are cleaned, right? Because the windows are going to let the light into the house. From the inside aspect, obviously the same thing, staging a house, cleaning a house, making it look spot ready. Like when you go to sell a car, you're going to have it detailed. So on the interior of a house, you're going to do the same thing. One of the bonus things you can do at this time of year is get up holiday decorations.
Yeah.
It's about connecting with those emotions. As somebody's looking to buy your home, they want to feel like they can spend and enjoy the holidays there.
And I think sometimes, that a seller really doesn't think about it. These simple things, how could they make such a huge impact? But I always say for a seller, put yourself back in your buyer's shoes because you were once a buyer. And it really is all about the emotions that you feel for that house. So all these little things make a huge, huge difference. So why even hire an agent in the market if it's hot? Now, I know, but you hear sellers, you hear them thinking about that why even do it?
Well, first off, what I just talked about was kind of, here are some things you need to do. That's the tip of the iceberg when it comes to working with getting your home ready and getting it on the market. But more importantly than that, you have to take a snapshot from what a buyer looks to get if they're working directly with a seller. So if there is no advantage of having an agent. And essentially what that comes down to is that buyer is looking for a deal. So there's two things. The buyer's coming in looking for a deal, and you're doing all the work. So the best thing to do is to sit down, consult with a professional, and see what you can do to maximize the sale of your home.
Totally agree. And there's a lot of work in the whole process, but I think people forget about the contract and all of the stuff that happens that once you actually get that contract together, to make sure that you're maximizing your price. And I think that's a key thing. Maybe you can sell your home for yourself, but can you actually maximize the price? And then once you've got that buyer, you've made the right decision, you got to actually get through to closing, and tons of work that your real estate agent does during that time. So Dan, if I have a seller that's listening to the show today and is thinking maybe they want to sell their house, they're not really sure, or it's going to be a while out before they would sell it, how much time do they need ahead of time that they really want to connect, give you a call to talk to them about that process?
Well, Tina, like Tyler, I too look at myself as more of a consultant than a salesperson. So reaching out to an agent, a lot of people are very apprehensive of doing that because they don't want to talk to a salesperson.
Yes.
They want to have somebody that has their best interests in mind. So what better time to do that than when you're thinking, hey, what is going on with the value of my house?
Yep.
Not, oh, okay, it's time to sell. Now, who do I find? It's really a great idea to kind of reach out, find somebody that's educated on your market, find out somebody that's educated on what it takes to sell a home in any market, and then get their advice. Makes
total sense. And just remember the 80-20 rule, that 80% of 20% of the agents are doing 80% of the volume. And if you look at what that breaks down to how many transactions that they're actually closing on an annual basis, if they're not in that percentage, is kind of a scary thought. So you definitely want to work with the best of the best. And that really is what my show is about, is bringing experts in every arena regarding money. And I've got two of them in here on real estate. So I highly encourage for you to pick up the phone, give the show a call at 1-855-400-1150, or go online to themoneyhour.com if you miss any of the show or just want to listen again to the segments. I do podcast and stream all of our shows right online. So Dan, I know you've got an amazing team behind you, just as I do for my mortgage business. I'm a real believer in team to maximize that high level of service. And so what does your team do differently in getting homes sold?
Great question, Tina. So, I looked at real estate when I got in, 8 years ago, and I saw that there were a lot of agents trying to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
They were helping people buy homes. They were doing the marketing, doing the accounting, doing the transaction coordination. And I've seen a lot of people do it really well, really well. But the one thing that I saw and I recognized is that most businesses out there have people segmented into their strengths. And so it made a lot of sense to me to surround myself. And it kind of goes back to what my grandfather said. He said, find people that do something better than you and have them on your team.
Exactly.
So that's what I've done. I've assembled some of the best on the east side to help our buyers and sellers buy and sell real estate. Yeah. So one of the things that's unique about it is we also include an in-house, it's what we call an inside sales representative. And their job is to actually, for our listings, they're calling outbound. This is kind of something that's unique to the Eastside Real Estate Team, is they're calling around our clients that are selling properties, and they're informing folks and looking for a buyer specifically for your house. So it's very proactive. It's not kind of sitting there putting a sign in the yard and just
waiting for them to come
that it sells. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's being proactive.
And that's awesome. If you don't have a team, there's not enough time in the day to do that. But when you have a specific person, and for me and my team, as you know, Dan, one of my core business practices is procrastinate, delegate. And it's not about, I don't want to do something, but I'm not good at it. So I have to find people, as you said.
Wait, so one of your core practices to procrastinate?
Procrastinate, delegate. No, if I procrastinate, then I got to delegate. And where it really comes from is it comes from my strengths or my weaknesses, more important. It's recognizing the weaknesses and finding the people that you can add to the team that are going to do that job at a higher level than you could, because it's not one of your strengths, just as you do with your team. So I just think it's so awesome. So what about on the buyer side, Dan? What do you do differently on the buyer side with your team, unique to the industry?
Well, that's where really customer service comes into play. So we've received the 5-star in customer service award over the last 6 years. And what it means is those touch points, is really caring for those buyers and putting their interests first. There's no real unique formula to it, but being able to have that focus that I don't have to run to a listing appointment.
Yes.
My only focus is to dig deep and find a property for our buyers.
That's amazing. So Dan, any advice that you have, most important advice that you have for my buyer that's listening right now, purchasing in the real estate market today?
For the buyer out there, the interesting thing is where rents have been and where they're going. So if you're actually buying property today, you can lock in your monthly rate, okay? Because when you sign that mortgage paper, that promissory note, you're signing in a 30-year note at a fixed payment. But rents keep going up and keep going up. So as there's a pullback in buyers going, we're tired of this competition, you now have an opportunity to get out there when a lot of people are just, we'll wait until January, we'll wait until March, to actually not have to be in this frenetic multiple offer deal situation. So meet with Tina, find out what you qualify for, and get at it.
And I love how you mentioned with the mortgage, with the fixed payment rent going up, because very rarely you hear people talk about the difference between rent and mortgage, and you kind of look at the rent payment versus the mortgage payment. But very rarely do I hear people actually make that point. Rent is not fixed, which means you can actually get priced out of being able to afford a rent. Yeah. And it's just amazing what's happening with these rates. So I totally agree. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to call the show at 1-855-400-1150. All of the experts that I have in studio here today would love to talk with you and help you through whatever navigation process that you're going through right now. Thank you so much, Dan, for coming into studio. Excited to have you back in, and just a real pleasure to have you here. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up next in the Money Hour, in your golden years, would you like to maintain your independence and age in place? Talk with an expert on how to help this happen, and I just happen to have him in studio. Aaron Murphy with ADM, empowering the mature mind, right here in 1150 AM at KKNW after this short break.
Here at Empowering the Mature Mind, we provide consulting and design services that allow both homeowners and industry professionals to create successful housing solutions for our second half of life. Empowering the Mature Mind is a residential and outreach program of ADM Architecture. Go to www.empoweringthematuremind.com to sign up for our newsletter and browse all the free and wonderful resources and information available to you right now. Our mission is to help you by dramatically improving your ability to live a longer and happier life at home. Working with Empowering the Mature Mind and ADM Architecture could easily create the best ROI of any investment you could make in your retirement years. Let us prove it to you. For more information, go to www.empoweringthematuremind.com or call 360-440-8475 today. Again, that's 360-440-8475.
Mortgage fraud has been rampant since 2007. Many folks don't know they have legal rights. Find out if your mortgage loan has wrongdoings and fraud. Magnum Law Group will do a free audit of your loan documents. Facing foreclosure? Need to stop a foreclosure sale? Magnum Law Group can help. We have experts with valuable knowledge, and we get results. Have you decided to short sale your property instead of a foreclosure? Magnum Law Group has the experience to negotiate better and faster for you.
Hi, this is Deborah with Magnum Law Group. Please contact us at 425-454-4300. You can visit our website at www.magnumlawgroup.com or call us at 425-454-4300.
This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Well, welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, October 18th show. I'm dedicated to you, my listener, providing you with the tools needed to make informed decisions on matters that can affect your money. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast, you can always call the show at 1-855-400-1150 or go online to themoneyhour.com to discuss anything regarding money or have any of your questions answered from my guest in studio today. And in studio right now, I have Aaron Murphy with ADM Architecture. And Aaron, this is the first time that I've had you in studio, but this is not a first time for you because you host your own show.
It's true. Yeah, I've been in this building, and we started our show, myself and the gal that originated it. We started right here at 11:50 a.m.
A little deja vu, except you're on the other side of the table.
Other side of the mic.
A little bit about Aaron. Aaron created and founder of ADM Architecture with over 18 years of experience in both commercial and residential design, permitting, and construction documents. The course of his career, Aaron has been part of the designing and permitting projects of all types and styles, scopes, sizes, and budgets. He has done work within the Seattle area, Kitsap County, King, and Pierce counties, and all surrounding areas of Western Washington and Olympic Peninsula, which total well over 1 million square feet of designed and built commercial and residential projects. Aaron, again, thank you for being here. Just excited to talk with you. And we have a passion in helping seniors in their transition. And when I heard you present at the home show, whatever weekend. Was that last weekend, the weekend before?
A week ago Sunday.
Time just gets all mixed up. But anyways, when I heard your presentation and saw the people just coming in from the home show and just crowding in out of all the speakers that were going on there, you had the biggest attendance and audience, and everybody wanted your book afterwards. And I just thought, you know what? I got to have you in studio. I've got just a couple minutes with you. Would love to just have a whole show around this topic because it's a passion of mine in helping our seniors. But let's start about aging in place, and why does this matter to my listeners?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for being so kind about your commentary, and it was fun to have you there to see me speak at the Seattle Home Show. That was our first ever any home show in the nation having a senior fair, so it was neat to see that get a draw, because the conversation that we're having today, the conversation I had on stage is just timely and topical because 10,000 people started turning 65 every day in January 2011, and we've got another 17 years to go.
Yep. So aging in place, explain that a little bit with my listeners.
Yeah, sure. The concept of aging in place, AARP polls say that 89% of us, as a first choice, would like to stay home.
Sure.
Okay, regardless of... So aging in place, the concept is that we should be able to choose our living environment, our house, our location, how we get our health care, regardless of changes that might happen with age, be it physical, mental, cognitive, right, emotional.
Sure.
We want to stay in control. And so I developed empoweringthematuremind.com separate from my architecture firm just to share that passion because so many of us now have a personal story about it.
So Aaron, how did you get into the specific field of aging in place? Why? There's always a why behind, especially with people like us in studio with, we're all really passionate about what we do. And so there's got to be a why behind it.
Absolutely. Yeah. For me, I had 2 light bulbs go off. They were 15 years apart. I was at architecture school at the University of Washington, and I'd go home quarterly to the Portland, Vancouver area. My grandmother, at the beginning of that 5-year process, was traveling the world as a master's level bridge player, enjoying her retirement. She was 5'9" and totally independent. 5 years later, and again, I saw the whole process because, back seat full of laundry, the normal college kid, right? Headed home, like I said, about quarterly. Grandma went from walking to cane to walker to wheelchair. Okay, 5 years later, she wasn't 5'9", she was 5'2", trapped in a hospital bed and didn't know who her caretaker, my grandfather, was. So osteoporosis and Alzheimer's took her over that 5-year period. At 20, you don't want to know about the medical and the bathing and right for grandma that you're not there yet. But I knew that a 70 split level home didn't work for her. Washer and dryer downstairs, bathing's upstairs, stairs, everywhere there's stairs. So that's what I noticed as an architecture student. 15 years later, buying a car from Craigslist, 2 60-year-old children bring me the car. It's mom's. Gave up the keys at 94.
Sure.
Where does mom live? We get to talking. I asked, hey, what's it cost her to live there? $150,000 out of pocket and $5,000 to $8,000 a month.
Unbelievable.
My jaw hit
and
the floor.
in some of these actually getting into them, which you talked about in your presentation. I mean, it's the good ones. There's waiting lists, and you may never even get into the home.
Right.
So what are some of the statistics that got you inspired to start teaching, speaking, and educating publicly on this subject matter?
Well, some of the stats that we already mentioned, and then the fact that, a third of 65 and older fall every year, and half those falls are recurrent. So home safety is becoming a bigger issue. But master on the main floor, as the guys to my right who you've already talked to, they're experts too. They know in my industry of architecture, that didn't come out until about 2003, right? The great room and the master on the main.
Yes.
So most of our 100-year-old stock of housing is not situated for where we're going at that 10,000 person a day rate, baby boomers.
So Aaron, what are a few things that we could start looking at in our home that can help to successfully age in place right now? So if you're starting that preparation, everything is about planning.
Yeah.
And the sooner you start planning, the more successful you're going to be in that ultimate goal.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the psychology of aging, there's a denial issue there. That's an uphill battle in sharing this message. But when you start talking about a dime of prevention or $1 a cure, maybe you get some people's attention. You could start today just with the little things like doorknobs.
Not me today.
Not you today.
I'm 47.
No, you could. I'm surprised you'd say your age on the air. I'm
all
impressed.
good.
That's good.
All good.
We're all being honest. Well, you saw me say, hey, if you can't laugh at yourself, laugh at me. I can take it, right? So, all right, now I have to say I'm 40. So start with, doorknobs, switching to levers. Taking throw rugs out that are trip hazards, maybe not for you, but for mom or grandma when they're over.
Sure.
Even think about the safety of visitability to your home. It's a great place to start. So, if tell your mom to ask you if you're a handyman to switch out some doorknobs and make them levers, and you can start with some simple, pretty affordable stuff.
So, Aaron, when did you write your book, Aging in Place, 5 Steps to designing a successful living environment for your second half of life. And where can you find it? Because again, at the home show, people were lining up to buy that book. It was amazing. You had your kids doing the square thing. And
I know. My daughter is a budding entrepreneur at 6. It was pretty entertaining.
Well, you had your assistant there, but then it was so backed up. It was fun watching her as well.
She's cute.
Yeah. So when did you write the book?
The book came out in January of this year.
Okay.
It is available on Amazon, or you can go to empoweringthematuremind.com, which is where we do newsletters and blogging and the radio show and all that fun stuff. So, that whole other website, aside from adm-architecture.com, Empowering the Mature Mind is more of the resource side and the speaking.
Perfect. Wonderful. So how have you been spreading the message and sharing your passion for this subject? I know you do a lot of speaking. How are you getting the word out?
Yeah, when you're driven about something, I think you just find time and you find a way. So I have done this at a national level in Chicago at the American Society on Aging Conference. 2 days before you saw me at the home show, I just landed from Tokyo. I was invited to go over and do a television show about aging in place, because Japan's one of the oldest countries in the world, so they're ahead of solving what we're now coming into.
Yeah. So you mentioned 5 steps in your book title. What are the 5 steps that will get us on the right track for boomers and their families?
Sure. I don't actually have the book in front of me today. I had to, and I've already given them away.
What are those 5 steps?
I know, right? Well, maybe not exactly in order, but you already mentioned planning ahead.
Yes.
Everybody here today has mentioned one of them, which is hiring professionals.
Okay.
It takes me $1 to move a line in a computer drawing. It takes $1,000 to move a wall if you don't like where you built it, right? So it's all planning, and that we can go round and round, and building a team. Everyone in this room is a team member in this process. And this isn't about me. It's not about my ego. The financial planner, an elder law attorney, the mortgage folks, the real estate agents. Should we move? Can we retrofit this? And then me, does the code allow me to add on? We need the contractor. So to me, this whole thing's a team thing. So planning ahead. The other one is the tough one, starting the conversation.
Yeah.
With your folks. The switch from parent to child to parent does not come quickly. I only learned my mom pushed off the toilet paper holder after 5 sit-downs where she had a little wine and I didn't. And so the trust and rapport takes time. You guys know that in the way you build relationships every day. Same thing's true with your folks. And so you got to start early.
I think it's a great point, and to have the parent and the child go to, to someone like you and listen to your presentation, and you're starting that conversation right there, but it's getting out of that awkward moment because you're experiencing this together. So I have great advice. So with aging in home, there's a lot of things that have to be done to the house sometimes, which that's money, and maybe there's not a lot of financial resources available. Give an example. What can they do?
Yeah, well, I mentioned, you can start with little things. The other end of the spectrum would be, putting an elevator in. And I'm still going to argue that makes sense. When you compare it to the cost of assisted living or nursing homes at $5 to $8,000 a month, getting $150,000 home equity line of credit from somebody in this room, and that's at 5%, and that's only $750 a month. You can still pay $19 an hour for 20 hours a week. So someone's cooking, cleaning, and taking you to doctor's appointments. Well, if I add those up, I'm saving you $33,000 a year compared to the cost of assisted living. So now that $150,000, and I'm rounding way up, right?
Sure.
To say the elevator, brand new kitchen, brand new bathrooms, whatever. I can save you $35,000 a year. We stay home 15 years longer. I saved you $500,000 in retirement on a fixed income. That's why you asked me to be here today, is the money part, right?
Yes.
And people don't know what they don't know. And it usually is something they found out because they got a phone call. Mom fell and broke her hip.
Yeah.
I got to leave my career. I'm a caretaker starting tomorrow, and I don't know squat.
Yeah.
That's why we're all here sharing information and expertise, because we don't want you to learn that in panic and backpedaling emotional mode.
And you're so right, Aaron. That is the whole purpose of the show. That's why it's called the Money Hour, is it's really, we are all specialized experts in our own field, But as you mentioned before, it's about a team effort and getting all of those experts together. Your speaking engagement, seminars, conferences, webinars, all that you have going on, is it just for the consumer side, or do you do things for the professional side as well?
I do both, actually. If you go to Empowering the Mature Mind, it's very clear whether it's for homeowner, caregiver, or industry professional, and what we provide on that site. And I do business coaching for people that want to understand aging in place and the boomer consumer, if that needs to be a part of their market. So yeah, it's all there on the site. I do both B2C and B2B. It started as talking to the consumer at Rotary clubs and Kiwanis and Lions, and now I'm going to Tokyo and Chicago.
Everything starts small and builds if you've got a passion and you're good at what you're doing.
Yeah.
Aaron, thank you. Thank you so much for coming into studio. Thanks for the wealth of information. And thank you to my listeners, everybody out there. I hope that you found the show extremely valuable and got some good information that you can use for yourself. I appreciate your time and being here. This is your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. I got to sign off for the day, but I will be here next weekend, same time, same place, right here on 1150 AM at KKNW. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
The preceding program is paid for by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Absolute Mortgage Company, NMLS number 81395 and Washington CL number 81395, is an equal opportunity housing lender. Tina Mitchell, MLO number 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Absolute Mortgage. Visit absoluteloans.com or call 888-90-HOMES for cost information.